There's a lake just outside of town, nestled deep within a forest no one really goes to anymore. It's beautiful in the daylight, tranquil even. The kind of place where you might want to bring a picnic, watch the sun set over the still water. But no one goes there. Not anymore. The story started a few years ago, whispers passed around by the older folks, but they never stuck around long enough for anyone to ask too many questions. It was like the town collectively agreed not to talk about it. Not out of superstition, but fear. I hadn't believed the stories. I was too old to be scared by ghost tales, and too stubborn to let the warnings keep me away. It was just a lake. Water and rocks. That's all. At least, that's what I thought. I'd heard about a few people going missing around that area, hikers mostly, but no one ever really connected it to the lake. And yet, every time the sheriff or the rangers went looking for them, their trails ended at the same place. No sign of struggle, no signs of a body. Just the edge of the lake, quiet as ever, untouched. I was convinced it was nothing. Stupid folklore meant to scare off bored kids. So one evening, I grabbed my gear and headed out to the lake alone. It was dusk by the time I arrived. The sky was turning orange and pink, the forest around me alive with the sound of crickets and the rustling of leaves. The air was still, unnaturally calm. I parked my car near the edge of the woods and walked the rest of the way, following the worn-down trail until I reached the shore. The water shimmered, reflecting the dying light of the sun. There wasn't a ripple in sight. It was too perfect, almost like a painting. I stood there for a while, just staring at the water, breathing in the silence. And then I heard it. A voice. At first, it was faint, barely more than a whisper carried on the breeze. I shook it off, thinking maybe it was the wind or some animal hidden in the brush. But then it came again, clearer this time. It was soft, gentle, almost soothing. A woman's voice. Come in. I froze, my heart skipping a beat. There was no one around. The place was deserted, and the voice, it sounded like it was coming from the water. I scanned the lake, my eyes searching for any sign of movement, but there was nothing. Just stillness. My gut twisted, an unsettling sensation creeping over me, but I brushed it off. It was nothing. Just my imagination playing tricks on me. That's when the voice spoke again, this time louder. Come to me. It's so peaceful here. My breath caught in my throat. I backed away from the edge, suddenly feeling like I wasn't alone anymore. I turned and started to walk back up the path, but the further I got from the lake, the more the voice changed. The gentle, inviting tone began to warp, twisting into something darker, more urgent. You can't leave. You have to come in. I started to run. The voice followed, louder, more insistent with each step I took. My feet pounded against the dirt trail as I ran faster, but no matter how far I went, the voice was there, in my ears, in my head. Don't leave me. You belong to the lake now. Panic seized my chest, but I kept running, refusing to look back. My mind was racing. This couldn't be real. It was just a lake. But as I reached the edge of the woods, I realized something horrifying. I was back at the water's edge. I had been running in a straight line, but somehow, I had ended up right where I started. The lake stretched out before me, the water darker now, almost black, as the last of the sunlight disappeared below the horizon. The voice was louder, echoing all around me now, coming from the water, from the trees, from the very air. Come in. I was shaking, my entire body trembling with fear. I tried to back away again, but my feet wouldn't move. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The voice was pulling me, dragging me toward the water, whispering promises of peace, of safety, of everything I'd ever wanted. I don't know what happened next. One second I was standing on the shore, and the next, I was in the water. The cold hit me like a wall. It was freezing, biting into my skin, numbing my limbs almost instantly. The water closed over my head, and the darkness swallowed me whole. I fought to get to the surface, thrashing against the pool of the lake, but it was no use. Something was pulling me down. Hands. Cold, slimy hands. I felt them on my ankles, my wrists, my neck. They tugged at me, dragging me deeper and deeper into the depths. I opened my mouth to scream, but the water filled my lungs, burning my throat. I couldn't breathe, couldn't see. I was drowning. As I sank further, the voices changed again. They were no longer soft, no longer inviting. They were angry, violent, screaming at me from every direction. I felt something brush against my leg, something rough, sharp. Pain shot through me as something bit into my flesh, tearing at me. I looked down, and in the murky water, I saw them. Bodies. Twisted, decomposing bodies. Dozens of them. Their eyes were wide, lifeless, mouths frozen open in silent screams. Their hands clawed at me, their nails ripping into my skin as they pulled me down to join them. I tried to fight, tried to claw my way back to the surface, but it was no use. Their grip was too strong, their hunger too great. I could feel my skin tearing, my bones breaking under the pressure. I was being torn apart, piece by piece. The last thing I saw before the darkness took me was a face, pale, bloated, its eyes glowing with a faint, eerie light. It smiled at me, and the voice, now inside my head, whispered one last time. You belong to the lake now. I don't know how I'm writing this. I don't know where I am. But I'm not dead. Not completely. I'm here, somewhere, trapped beneath the water, surrounded by the others. We wait. We wait for someone like you to come, to answer the call. The lake wants you. It always does. And once you hear it, there's no escaping.